Welcome to Tech Brothers with Amir. In this video, we are going to learn how you can access your managed SQL instance from Data Factory by manage a VNet using private endpoints. So this is a kind of complex scenario, and it's going to take some time to go over all the details and demo. So I will suggest, this is a kind of one time you are going to do it. So spend some time, learn it, and try to make sense of what exactly it is doing. So here is my Azure Data Factory, and then we have IR. That's our managed IR. Okay, so that's our using the managed VNet here. So if you can see right there, and that's what it is. Once you use that one, you have private endpoints, and in the private endpoints for the blob and for Azure SQL database, that's very easy to create that. And I will create another video and how to do that. So that you create that, and it will ask you, hey, do you want to approve it? You will go ahead and approve it, and it will get it done. Now when it comes to the Azure when it comes to the managed instance, that's where it get very complex. So you see here private endpoint, and that's where private endpoint is right there. But what you're gonna see is gonna go to the private link service first, and then where it is going to go, it's going to go to load balancer. And once you have the load balancer, that's a front end subnet. Then you have a back end subnet where you have these net VMs. So that's where your kind of mapping or routing VM is right there. And then you have a finally SQL managed instance. So this is your managed instance MI, and this whole picture, if you see that, it can take you a couple of hours to perform that, and sometime you might get into issues. So anyways, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start and from the very beginning. I don't have anything as of now. Think about that, and we are gonna create everything and keep going through the documents, and at the same time we'll keep performing it. So if you see right there, that's the document I'm gonna use it. So that's the entire document we are going to use it, and let's go ahead and start with the VNet. So we do not have any VNet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create the VNet first. So let's go here, and we call it virtual networks. Okay, so here do one thing. When you are going to create the virtual networks, hit create, and that's where your subscription is, and the resource group, in my case is RG resource group Amir, and the name of that, what you like to have that, I'm gonna call that uh, Amir VNet. Okay, so that's what it is, and I'm gonna keep everything in East US. So let's say we are keeping this naming convention, so everything is starting with Amir, and then it's this Amir VNet and Amir managed instance Amir, so most of the things we will keep with the Amir, so at least we would know that that's the resources we are using them. So hit create. Here are the list of the IPs it's going to get for us. So 10.0.0 is / 16. So we are good. We are not adding any subnet as of now. So I'm good with that one. Let's go ahead and create. So let's create. Once the virtual network is created, I'm going to create multiple subnets. So if you see here, they have a subnet for create subnets for your resources. You are having subnet for your backend servers. You are going to have subnets for your internal load balancer, and you are going to have a subnet for your private link service. So I'm going to create those ones. Also, I'm going to create the subnets maybe for VMs, so you can create all different type of subnets here. So let's go ahead, and what we do now, our resource is ready, so we can see that our Amir VNet is ready. So we can go to the subnets here, and here we are going to create its default is already there. So next one is going to be BE subnet. Okay, so I'm going to create all these subnets here that we will use in different places. So provide that name, rest of that everything leave as it is, hit save. Now I'm going to go to the next. I'm going to use the front end for our load balancer. So I'm going to create that. So you can see that it has given 10.0.1 for this subnet. Let's go and create another subnet. and subnet address range you can see right there. Okay, so we are gonna go to for the next one, and then we are gonna private link services subnet. That's what we are gonna create as well. And one of the subnet I just want to create that for myself. I want to call that one. Um, let's call it VM subnet. Okay, so I'm going to create a Windows machine where so we can connect to the managed instance, and we will use this subnet there. So it will have a different subnet, and then we will use it there. So okay, so these subnets are ready. Next part is what we need to do. We can go ahead and create our managed instance, and for managed instance we can create actually manage. Let's create another subnet on which our managed instance will be. So we will call that mi managed instance subnet. Okay, so we are putting our managed instance on different subnet. We hit OK. We have to create our managed instance. So right there, SQL Server Managed Instance, and I'm gonna go ahead and create it. I will just use for a day or two and then delete it. So my resource group, and then Amir, MI, that's our, I'm gonna create in the same region, East US. Now it's asking, hey, what is your username? So I'm gonna call it A Shehzad. Okay, and I'm gonna provide my password. All right, password, difficult password. All right, so looks good. And next part is going to be your network. So here, if you see that I don't want to create a new VNet, I would like to actually use the same VNet. And if you guys know that I have the VNet called Amir VNet MI subnet. So that's what we would like to use, right? Because we have created a special subnet for our managed instance. So I'm gonna use that one. Connection, private endpoint proxy, leave this everything as it is. Public endpoints data, disable, so we are not enabling public endpoints. So that's good, and we are gonna go ahead and additional settings. So let's go to the additional settings here. Okay, that's our correlation. This is all good. System window 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. Maintenance, okay, that's fine. Here, if you want to go ahead and tag, if you want to create tag, then change resource settings on the tab. Your tags will automatically update. So I'm fine. I don't really care about tags and all that. I'm gonna go ahead and create it, and you see that view pricing details. So it's estimated per month is this much. So I'm gonna go back here and see, this is using 5 generation, 8 cores and all that. And let me see if I can make changes. Basics here, and right here configuration and manage. I want to go back to very minimum, and now it's $750 per month. Okay, that's good, because I'm gonna just use it for a couple of days and then drop it. So it's gonna create our managed SQL instance. Okay, so now you guys understand that how to create. First of all, we have created the VNet, and in the VNet we have created the subnets, and in the subnets we have created one of the subnet called, if you guys remember that was the managed instance subnet. So that's what we use to create our managed SQL Server instance, and then the rest of that, what we are going to do, we are going to create another VM from where we can access our this managed instances. So I'm going to create a window machine there. So let's go ahead and create another window machine, and there we will at least try to able to virtual machine. Okay, so we are creating virtual machine, and I'm going to create this one because I would like to query to the managed SQL Server instance, create database and all that. So I would like to have some Windows machine where I can download Internet SQL Server Management Studio or Azure Explorer, Data Explorer, and connect to the managed instance and use it. So I'm going to call this one virtual machine. So I'm going to call it Amir VM. Eastern US is good, and ability option, no infrastructure redundancy. I don't care about that. I'm gonna go with the Windows 2016 generation. So that's what it is. See all images. See here. If I'm gonna go with very basic, okay. And here's all good. And username, same username, Ishazad. I'm gonna use it, and the password, I'm gonna use it, strong password. Okay. So password not matching. How about now? Okay, it matches now. So here public inbound ports, I'm gonna allow selected ports, and I'm gonna select yeah, RDP is fine. That's all I need to do, and we should be all good here. We are gonna create our virtual machine. So it's creating our virtual machine. Now, once this part is done, because really we do not need to use this virtual machine as of now, and also we do not need to use our SQL Managed Instance as of now, because there is a lot more work to do. So we are going to go ahead and create these guys just for when we are going to use them. Once our managed instance will be ready, then we will use this VM to connect to that and show you guys like how to create a database and all that. So we can move from there. Now our VNet is ready, and the second part from the document, what we see here, okay, what you are going to do, we are going to create a standard load balancer. How you do that? So first of all, you're going to go to the resource and then the networking or load balancer. That's exactly what we are going to do. And I'm going to create a load balancer, go to home, create a load balancer here. Okay, so that's where right there we have the load balancer, and we can create a new load balancer. Go ahead, create. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to name the same here what we have. So next, when I will apply next changes or create the private link service and all that, I have actually these same names, so I can copy paste from here. So you can change to yours, and then it's your choice how you want to make it work. Okay, so our VM is ready, but we do not need to do anything with the VM as of now, because we are working with our load balancer. So I'm going to go ahead, select my resource group, and the name of the instance detail. So that's my load balancer name, and it's going to be in the same region. Okay, so according to the document, click internal here, and the SKU standard is fine, and the virtual network. So now we are going to go back to the document here. It says the East US internal SKU, and select your virtual network. Okay, and then select your FE, front end subnet. So if you guys see right there, we have this what is our virtual network? Azure VNet. That's our main virtual network, and inside that we have subnets, and we are selecting FE subnet. So this is for our front end load balancer, right? And in the IP assignment, dynamic is fine, and zone redundant is just fine. So let's go over the document. So they say, yeah, that's fine. So accept the default and remaining value, then review and create. So we are going to go ahead and create our load balancer now with all these settings. So you guys may make sure these settings are done correctly. Then you have VNet, that is our main VNet, and then subnet is selected for front end. So that's where your load balancer will be created. Okay, create the load balancer, and next what we are going to do, we have to make some changes to our load balancer here. Okay, create load balancer resources. Okay, so once that's done, this part we have already completed. Now next part is what we are going to do. We are going to go to the load balancer and then create a backend pool. Okay, a backend pool contains the IP addresses of the virtual NICs connected to the load balancer. Okay, that's what the definition is, and the name of the backend pool, what we are going to do is going to be my backend pool. So okay, so load balancer is created. Let's go there, go to the backend pools right there. Okay, if you don't end up here, what you need to do, what you're gonna go to your resources group. In my case, Amer is the resource group. Then you're gonna go to your my load balancer that we just created and hit there, and then you're gonna see backend pools here. So click there, and then what we are gonna do, we are gonna create an add button there, and provide the name. So just there was a space, so I removed the space. Backend pool NIC IPv4, okay, and then it's asking, do you want to add some virtual machines and all that here. So let's see what it is. Okay, so as of now, go to select our resources, then backend pools, add, and add a backend pool, and then my backend pool as the name, and just add. So we don't have to do anything. We don't have a virtual machine that I need to add here. So we are gonna keep this everything as it is, just creating just a backend pool with the default settings. Okay, next part is you're creating a health probe. The load balancer monitors the status of your app with the health probe. So that's what we need to create, that. A health probe adds or removes VMs from the load balancer based on their response health checks. So in this case, we do not have a whole lot really VMs, but this is what we have to create anyways. So all services, we are going to go to health probe, and here we are providing our name, my health probe, and we are going to keep TCP IP 22. So let's go to the here. This is created. Health probe is the next one right there. Add, provide the name, TCP IP as per document, port 22, and 15 interval, and then 2 is the unhealthy threshold. So let's go back, take a look. So we want to make sure my health probe, TCP 20 22, 15, 2 number, and then hit OK. Now we are going to go ahead and hit add. So we are creating the health probe in our load balancer. So load balancer, first we created that with our front end IP, then we created the back end pool, then we created the health probe. Okay, so it's creating now. And next part, what we are going to do, we are going to create a load balancer rule. This is where we have to go to the all resources, go to load balancer. Okay, we will go there. Then what we are going to do, we are going to go to the add load balancing rules, and then we are going to add this. I'm going to call this my rule as it is same. You can rename whatever you want. So once once it's done, if we'll keep going with this one, and once we're done with everything, I'm going to be very sure it's going to make some sense to you, because it was not making sense to me. I read this document 20 times, and then it did not make sense. So I started working on it one by one, and once I was done, I was able to understand the picture that I showed you in the front one. So once we create a whole thing, we can go back to the picture and take a look again. So we are creating a rule. Okay, so what rules are? Our load balancer rule is to define how traffic is distributed to the VMs. You define the front end IP configuration for the incoming traffic and back end IP pool to receive the traffic. The source and destination ports are defined in the rule. So that's where the rule is. So whatever is coming to the front, whatever is going to the back, that's what the rule is gonna be. So we have a rule here, and add rule, provide the name, IPv4 is fine, front IP address, if you see that, that's what our front one is, and then port. Okay, so what we need to do here, TCP 1433, backend pool that we have created, health probe that we have created, and session presence, this is leave that as it is, disable. Okay, so I'll go to the my back and move to the slider to 15 minutes. Okay, that's what we want to do, and the TCP reset disable. So they are saying move this idle time to 15. Okay, now TCP reset disable, floating IP disable. Okay, so I think we are good here according to the document. Now what we are going to do, we are going to add our port. I believe, yep, enter port is correct as well. Next is we are going to create a private link service, and in the private link service we will be using our load balancer that we are just creating in the above steps. In this session you will create a private link service behind a standard load balancer. Okay, we will do that. On the top right, what we are going to do, we are going to search for private link center. Okay, private link service. So let's go there and take a look. Once this is created, we are gonna, or I can just start from here. So private link. Okay, and the once I found out a private link center, I'm gonna go to the private link service here. So once I go there, I need to add that one according to the document. So what we have to do here, we are gonna go create private, and this is a project, your subscription, and that's the name they would like to tell us. Okay, I'm gonna use the same name. um, and remember, you can always go ahead and make the name in convention according to your standards. So subscription is here, and then next part is our resource group and our name. Now the name is there, Eastern Europe, sorry, Eastern US. That's what we would like to do. In the outbound setting, let me see what did they have. Okay, go to the outbound settings, and then you're gonna do select the load balancer. Okay, uh, PL. Okay, that's what the, so what we are gonna do here, outbound, and then load balancer name, my load balancer that we have already created, load balancer front end IP, and that we know that already. That's also we have created. Now it's asking, hey, load source net subnet. So that's where I believe we have to provide the PL subnet. So let me go back here in the documentation. Yes, so source net subnet. That's where our the IP we have created, the subnet we have created, PL subnet. So that's where it's going to be provided to the net, and then this is how the our private link service is going to work. Okay, enable proxy v2. Let me see. Enable proxy v2. Say to no. Okay, already know. We do not have to do anything here. Then leave default settings. Now go to the access security, and in the access security, what we are going to do, we are going to say role base only in the access security. Leave this one as it is. Tags, provide the tags. Okay, so we don't have to do anything actually. Now here, role based security is already there, so we are good. Tags, I don't care about tags. I'm going to go ahead and create, and hit create. So we are moving forward. We are almost halfway here. If you guys see right there. Okay, so next is a create backend server. That's important. So we have to create one server, virtual machine. That's where we need to run some PowerShell scripts. Okay, so one of the we are gonna find a virtual machine. In the virtual machine, you can create. This is gonna be Ubuntu, and we are gonna create that one. I can call this my VM1. That's fine. Same name, whatever. If you wanna change it, you change it. This is still working, so let this work. And here, okay. This is gonna be our virtual machine. Yes. What is the name? The same name what we gave last time. So we are going to keep that same name, East US, and here is the one to already selected. That's size, all sizes, $53 per month. Yeah, that's good. Password, yes, Ashazad, and then I'm going to use the strong password here. Okay. Yep. Strong password allows yep, this one SSH is good. Go ahead and go to disks. That's where we made a mistake. So we couldn't go to the networking and management and all that. These tabs are there once we create the VMs. But honestly, like I don't create this every day, so I don't know. So I'm gonna go with the document. This is fine. Disk is fine with me. I'm not creating a lot of disks here. So select the virtual network. We know that this is our main network, and this is BE network. Remember that they would like us to use the BE network. So it is already selected, public IP none. So here we are gonna go to the public public IP none, and then what was the next? Load balancing. Select yes. Okay, so we leave this one as it is, and hit load balancing yes. And once we click there, it's going to ask you, hey, you want to use Azure load balancer? And what is the load balancer? Select a load balancer. Yes, my load balancer. That's, remember, our name is my load balancer. We select that part. Now what we are going to do, we don't my backup pool, that's already there, so we should be good now. Let's go to manager. I want to go through all the tabs now because I made a mistake last time, so I don't want to do it again. So advanced, and then we should be all good. Generation 1, yes. Tags, review, create. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and create. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do, if you guys go there, next step is the creating forwarding rule to the endpoint. So that's very important. So in this case, what you have to do, you have to copy this PowerShell script, not sorry, this shell script to your server that we just created, the Ubuntu server, right? And then we have to run this statement right there. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to go and right there. So we have to provide our virtual uh, that's our managed instance IP. That's what we sorry, host name. We have to provide it there. Let me see. Our managed instance is even, I don't think so even if it is close to even creating right now, because it takes some time, like 2 hours, you know. So if I look here, SQL Server managed instance, and let's take a look. It's still in provisioning, so it's not created yet. So I can do two things. I can skip this part, creating a forwarding a rule to the endpoint, and we can go further. This one, this is where it is going to create a rule, and in the IP tables, we should be able to see the routing um, uh, record for this one, something like this. Once we will create that, we can live without that right now, and let's see if we can go to the next and create something else. Okay, private link, and here need to be, let me see if, what is this, that's also your host, so that cannot be created as well. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's wait for it. Once the managed instance will be ready, we will come back and create that. Meanwhile, let me do a couple of things. I'm gonna go ahead and let you. We can do. We can go to our Windows machine, and from there we can connect to our my VM1. That's our Ubuntu. So I'm gonna show you that one, and because the next step is creating this endpoint, and we can make the things ready, and then we can do once our managed instance host name is ready. So let's do this. Go to our Windows machine, and here is my Armor VM, that's our virtual machine, that's our Windows machine. I'm gonna connect to it. It's gonna ask me, hey, you wanna do RDP? I said yes. It says, okay, this is the public IP, that's fine. Download the RDP, and then it's asking, hey, you wanna connect? Download completed. So yes, it's gonna ask me, hey, connect. So now once it is given me username and password, so I'm gonna provide a username, and I'm gonna provide the password. Fine, right there. Okay, is to open another window. I'm gonna select, it's connecting right now, and it's connected, and it connected actually on my other machine. So I just drag this window here. Okay, so this is our Windows VM. This Windows VM we are going to use for multi purposes. One, we are going to use for connect to the managed instance. Second, we are going to connect to our Ubuntu by using PuTTY, and then finally we'll use to create the rule set and all that, right? So what I did with the 1 second, if I go to my downloads here, in the download, I downloaded the putty.zip. I will put the link in the description. So I downloaded this. I am copying. I downloaded this putty files. You know. So let's. I'm gonna close this. So this is my remote server. That's my VM, Windows VM, and I downloaded the putty.zip from the website. I will put the link in the description so you guys can download. And then what I did, I'm gonna extract this one, extract all here. And the next step is that we would like to connect to our Linux box. So putty is right here. I'm gonna double click and connect to that machine. So I have to provide that IP. And how I get the IP? So I'm gonna go ahead and here is my VM1, and the IP is right there. So 10.0.16. That's a private IP. Okay, so I go to my machine again, and here provide that SSH. It's not copying that, so let me see. 10.0.16. Okay, so let's do this. Pretty open. It says, can hey, you wanna provide that? Let's accept yes. And my username is Ashazad, and then my password is okay. Provided a password. Now it is connected. Now, if you guys see there, what's happening here, I'm gonna make this one a little large if I can. Yep. So this is a LS. This is PWD. That's where I am. I'm in home, a Shehzad, and I need to go to the root. If I need to go to root, what I will do, I will say CD backslash, and now if I will say PWD, show me my path where I'm in the current directory or root. So I'm can call it. I can become sudo here, and once I become sudo, now I can do few things here. So what I'm gonna do here, if you guys remember, there is a lot of steps in this document. So we are gonna open this IP and create this dot shell script. So I'm gonna copy this whole thing and copy. What we are gonna do, we are gonna go back, and here we will create. So how we will create a file? So what we are gonna do, we are gonna do clear first, and then we are gonna say sudo vim, and then I'm gonna call this one IP underscore fwd.sh. Okay, so I'm creating this file, and then I'm gonna right click and it's gonna paste all those things there. Didn't it do it? No. Okay, no, it did not. So I'm gonna come outside from this. So I'm gonna hit escape, colon, and then Q without saving. So that's what I did. So I believe I did not copy this. Copy, go back to it. So that's the same statement I'm gonna run. Now I'm gonna do escape I. So that means I'm in the insert mode. I'm gonna hit the right mouse key, and then it's gonna paste. Okay, so that is pasted. Now I can review it. Looks good. And what I need to do here, I'm gonna hit escape, and once I hit escape, I'm gonna put colons and WQ explanation mark. So right there, see, right there, that's what we did, and now it's saved. Okay, now I'm gonna go back here. So this, if I'll do cat vim, this file, sorry, clear. Okay, that's the file. Yeah. So I'm gonna do clear. So if you ls, if you guys see there, the file is there, but it's not a shell script right now. So what I have to do, I have to run a command chmod +x. So I'm making this executable as of now. Okay. So now if you do ls, the colors should have changed to the green. Okay. So that's what we have to do. But once our host is ready, this is the command we are going to run. So we are going to go back here. We are going to take this command, and now what we will do here, let me open a notepad. That's where our host name is going to be. Okay, so this is where our mi host name. Okay, that we have it. Then what we are going to do, we are going to take this command and just go to our virtual machine that we already have here, and then we are going to run this statement there. Once we create that one, it's going to create an entry and in the IP tables, and that's what we will when we will take a look on those tables. This is where it should show us. And once we have this entry, we are going to go to the next steps. So we are creating endpoints to the private link service, and then move forward without creating our linked service in the pipelines and use it. So meanwhile, this is the link service is still working. We can do a couple more things. If you guys are right there, because we are in the Windows machine, and how we are gonna, at least we would need to have, we want to connect to the managed instance, right? So I'm going to go to the internet and download some software so we can connect to the managed instance and create a database. Okay, so I'm going to call google.com here, and yes, okay. So what we need to do here, download Azure Data Studio or Explorer, and here we should be good now. And here it is asking us user installer, Windows installer, zip file. If you want to do zip, you can do it. We download it. Add. Okay, it's downloading that file for Windows. So now save as. We are gonna go to the desktop, save it there. Yep, it's downloading right now. All done here. So now what we can do, Azure Data extract all here. So I'm preparing my Windows VM so I can connect to the Azure Managed Instance and create database and all that, because I would need that. I need to create a database on my Managed Instance so I can use a linked service in the pipeline. So I have to have that one. And also I downloaded putty here so you guys can see why I did that. The reason was so we can run our shell script, and that's how we are gonna create that IP mapping table, so for our link for our managed SQL Server instance. All right, so our is still I wish my managed SQL Server instance will be ready so I can just finish up with this whole video for you guys and show you how awesome this is. I can tell you this is very annoying actually. It took a lot of time actually for me to figure out the whole steps, and there are tons of steps. So it would be nice if the same way if we can connect to the Azure SQL database or blob by using private points, but this is a totally different thing, so we have to go through all these steps. Anyways, let me see. Our Azure Studio is ready here, so we can double click, and once we have our managed instance ready, we are going to go ahead and connect. So my connection, and in my connection we are going to provide that server name here and the username and password, and that's how we are going to connect to it. Okay, so I will come back and we will move forward from here. Thank you very much. So finally, our managed instance is ready. It took a lot of time, probably 2-3 hours to just get this done. So we can see that our managed instance is ready, and that's the name of the managed instance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this managed instance name or host name, and then what we do, first of all, let's go to the our uh, server, and let's connect to that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect right there, and here I have connected to the Windows VM, and there we have our Data Explorer, so Azure Data Studio, sorry, and we are gonna provide the connection there, and then login SQL login, and what we will do here, provide our name, then password, and now we can go ahead and connect. Once this is connected, this is our managed SQL instance, and what we are going to do, we are going to go ahead and create a new query and create database. Create a database. So let's call it TechbrothersIT, and then hit go, and we are going to create a table just for the sake for testing, and I'm going to call this one EMP, and ID integer, name worker 100. So we are all good here. Let's insert a couple of records here, so we can use in this linked services. So insert into db.emp values, and here we'll say one Amir, and then we are gonna go ahead and put the next value here, comma, to Raza. Okay, so let's execute this whole query, and what's gonna happen, we are gonna run this one, and this completed, and now we can go ahead and select the data. Select start from dbu.emp. So from this table we should get two records, so run this query, and we can see that we have ID 1 and 2 and Amer and Raza in the database called TechbrothersIT. Okay, so if you go to the welcome screen here, let me see, I'm also kind of new to this one, so let's kind of explore, and here is our databases, and that's where our database is right there, is online. Now what we can do, if we go back to our document, the lengthy document we are following, we were right there, so we were here. We had created this shell script, and we were supposed to run this statement, and what we are going to do, we already have let me open that notepad somewhere, or let's take just in the right there, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and open this is our shell, close this, and let's right click new, and text. Okay, I just want to paste it there. Now here we have to provide our managed instance name, so we are going to go back here, and this is our host right there. So let's open this and provide that information. I really don't have to be in dot backslash, because if I'm already there, so if you guys notice that, that's where my uh, if I do pdw my current location, that's where I am, and if I do ls, you can see right this shell script is right there, so I don't have to worry about that. So I can simply delete that, or I believe if you run something like that, it will run as well. So I'm not a guru on Linux side, so I try to make the things work. And we copy that statement, and we are gonna hit okay. So command not found. So let me do. I have sudo. Let's see. Okay, so what we can do, we can probably just IP underscore fwd dot sh. So that's the right name. So I'm going to copy this as it is and paste and see what happened. Command not found dot sh. Why is saying command not found? Okay, so what if we do the same thing? Sudo backslash this Let me copy this and try to uh, run this command again. So let's execute this. So we are right here, and this is the statement we need to run. Maybe let's reconnect with our Ubuntu server from the party and see if that has created some problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and reconnect, and here is I'm gonna go back here and go to the home, and here is my virtual machine. That's called my VM1, and that's the IP we have. So we use this IP to connect. Let's go back to the right here. Okay, so we do open and Shehzad, provide a password. Okay, it's logged in. Let's do to the root. So now we are at the root, and we can see that we have this IP FSH right there, IP forward. So if I want to do cat IP, it should be just right there. So I'm going to clear. Now I'm going to take the same statement and try to run that. So let's see. Why am every time I just go further down right there. Okay, so if I paste sudo, yeah, it's running. So it was just probably our connection that was not really established to our Ubuntu. So you can see that I ran the same command. So sudo dot, that's the root directory, and then we have this shell. Sorry, and, this script that we can run. So we copied that one, created this file .sh, and then we are running this one. Okay, so now we are all good, and what we need to do here, we need to go back to our document and take a look. So if we run this command, what's going to happen is going to return us some records. So this is exactly right there, and you can see that that's the TCP, and this is the pointing to the our SQL Managed Instance. So we are all good here. So if you have multiple managed instances, you can add them by using the same thing. So what you have to do, same command you will use, but you will only you are gonna change your host name there. So in the file, if you will have that file right there, so you will just change in the command right there. So you're gonna change to the next managed instance. All right, so we are good here. Let's go to the next step, and in the next step it says, once you are done with creating all these steps, and now create a private link service. We already have created that one, and in this case we have already done this, and now we have created a backend server, that's, and run the script. Now our next step is to create a private endpoint to the private link service. So what we are going to do, we are going to go to the our manage private endpoints here. Let's go to the select author and monitor, create a private endpoint to the private link service. Select all services in the left menu. Okay, so go manage endpoints, new private link service, and then continue. Enter the name of private endpoint and my, okay, so that I'm gonna do that first of all. Let me see. Okay, so you're gonna go to the author, go to manage endpoints. So we have to go to the Azure Data Factory here. So let's open the Azure Data Factory, and this is our Azure Data Factory that we have created. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new ADF here, doesn't matter. Let's go to the new, create our ADF, and I'm gonna call this one Amir VNET ADF. Okay, so that will make more sense now. Now we are gonna go ahead and we are not don't want to create a gate or anything as of now, and here we are gonna leave everything as it is. So for now, just create without any changes, and our ADF will be created. Go to resource, and here what we are gonna go, we are gonna go to the manage private endpoints. So that's what we are gonna go, and here let's open that one. Now we open Azure Data Factory. In the Azure Data Factory, we are going to go to manage right there, and go to the manage endpoints. So right there is disable. So why this is a disable? Because let's see what happened here. UI in the separate new manage private endpoints. Go to manage tab and then manage endpoint section. See right there. That's the name we have to provide. Okay, I believe I know what is happening. So the private endpoint in the link service list. See here what it is doing, it is a new managed private endpoint link service. So actually it's not you are going to go to manage and all that, because I'm not even seeing this one enabled here. So I'm going to go to link service. Let me create the new link service. And here I'm going to go to the manage SQL Server instance, and that's where I'm going to see that. So instead of manage private endpoints, manage private endpoints, yeah, it was and go there, but I'm not seeing it's grayed out for me. So that's one of the problems. So I went directly to the linked services, and there I'm gonna try to create that. So I'm gonna call this one M1. It's alright. So manage instance, and here you have. So let's one of the thing we need to create. First of all, we will go ahead and create the manage IR. So right now this IR is only auto resolve. So that's one of the things we don't want to do that. I want to create a new IR with the Azure IR, and here Azure, and I would like to create with the virtual network configuration enable, and this is going to be in the East region. So I'm going to call this one Azure IR VNet. Okay, so we are going to create that one. That's what we will use in that when we will create that managed service there. Manage private endpoint, that's what we are going to use that one. Okay, so we are going to go to the ADF again, and here that's initializing. With all the work it's taken the time and all that, I'm getting slow as well, so you can think of. Okay, it's refreshing. It's running in limited mode. It will be available in 15 minutes for data flows. That's fine. So we are all good here. I'm gonna go to linked services, and here I'm gonna go to the managed instance. Sorry, here let me see document again. I'm kind of confused on this part. Go to manage, and then create manage private endpoint. New manage private endpoints. Private link service. Let me see for private link service. Private link. new link service. So I'm still confused on this one. Okay, creating a private endpoint for private link service. We already have created the private link service. Select all in these resources and select your data factory from the resource author. That's where we are. Go to the manage tab and then go to the managed private endpoints. So this is where I'm kind of confused because if I go to the data factory right there, I actually don't have that. Let me refresh it. Maybe okay. Finally, maybe I have it. That it was now it is there. Okay, it was not showing me this manage private endpoints, and finally I am able to get it. Maybe once I created this manage virtual network, that's why it is started doing it. Before it was grayed out. So I'm gonna click on that one. Now our life will be easy. We're gonna click next and say private link service. Okay, so we are gonna do that, and we will provide the name. So I'm gonna call this one my link service. Okay, remove the space, and from Azure subscription and enter manually. So if you do this one, I mean, it's gonna get you all that, but what I would like to do, I will start with this one, and then once it's select the subscription, my private link service, and now you click on enter manually. Okay, so leave this one as it is, I believe, and then we are gonna click plus signs here. So once you select that one from Azure subscription, then we are gonna go as Azure subscription and the private, and then you are gonna provide the host of your managed SQL instance and the NAT IP of a private link service. So that's what we are gonna do. Now, what we are gonna do, we are gonna go back here, and I'm gonna go to the manage instance. That's our manage instance, and copy that host name. So copy the host name and go back to your configuration right there, add, and here you're going to provide the name, and in the next you're going to add another one, and that's where you are going to provide the NAT IP of private link service. So you're going to go back, if you don't know where it is, remember that we have created that one. So we are going to go to the dashboard and the private link center, and that's where we have that. So we are going to go here, and we need to find in our resource group, and there we should be finding private, let me see, this my private link service, and there you have this IP. So you're going to copy that. So you're going to go to the my private link service in your resource group, and then you're going to copy from there. Okay, so I will come back in the Azure Data Factory, paste that IP there, and then let's see, it says create. I believe that's what it is asking us to do. Now we are gonna go ahead and hit once create private endpoint. Now this is going to create an endpoint finally. So right now it's in a process of provisioning, and that's one of the things. So it is creating right now, right? And here it says provisioning, and I believe what you have to do here, you while you are this is stuck on provisioning, you are gonna go to the private endpoint connections and see right there. So remember that we have added this link private service IP in the Azure Data Factory when we are creating a private link service there. So there, that's why this record is created right now, and it is waiting for our approval. So I can click here, and then it's gonna ask, do you wanna approve? I say approve, and now it's gonna awaiting approval, yes, and now it's approving this. Once this approve it, it will take between 1 to 2 minutes for our Azure Data Factory, and it will come here, like it will say approved. So right now it's a provisioning, right? So now this is once this is completed, it's still pending, and now it's in the process of deployment, right? So it is approved, and now we should be going to the Azure Data Factory, and it is going to keep trying every few seconds, and then finally it will get approved. And once it get approved, we are going to see my private link right there. So we are going to see that. So it's see, it's refreshing every a few seconds and trying to connect to the private link service. While it's trying, let's go to the document and see what is the final step. So once everything is ready, now we can go ahead and create the linked service. So we can create a connection to our manager SQL instance. So we can use the database. So we will go to the here, select the managed instance. This is the easy part, and then we can enable the authoring, and that will give us like a drop down for our different options. We can use from Azure subscription. Once you do authoring, actually in the host you have to put the host name and username. So you will be still like doing this enter manually, I believe. So let's do that, and finally interactive mode is enabled, and then you're going to test your connection. So we should check that it's still provisioning. I'm gonna wait for it. As I told you, it can take between 1 minute to 2 minutes. So have some patience. So don't worry too much. Meanwhile, we can do another thing. We can create this another table in our Azure, and by doing it, what will happen? We can get the data from a source and load it. So if you go right there, and that's where our studio is, and new connection, yes. So this is approved. We don't need this anymore. So I'm going to go to the managed instance, and here I'm going to copy that host name, and let's connect to the our SQL, and let me see SQL login. Shahzad. Okay. So what we will do, we'll create another database. Database is fine. I can leave this one as it is. So my goal is creating, if I go new query, I'm going to create another table. Use TechbrothersIT, go create table, give your destination, dest, and I'm going to call this ID and integer name, worker. So we'll create a pipeline that will read the data from employee table and load to this our let's include the data type. Okay, worker. Okay. So that's it. So it's gonna read the data from our employee table and load the data to the destination table. So I'm gonna leave this one as it is. Let's go back to the our it's still provisioning, so should have get it done by now. So finally it's succeeded and approved. So what we are going to do next, we are going to go to the linked services and create a linked service to our manage SQL instance. So I'm going to go to the find and manage SQL instance, and let's use that one. So we can call this LNK or whatever. And here you are all good. Okay, start with letters. Okay, fine. And you are going to use the IR, manage virtual network IR, and here it's already good. Select subscription, your server name. So endpoint, so you have a database, TechbrothersIT, you're selecting private point. Authentication is SQL authentication. Now I'm going to provide the name, Shahzad, and then I'm going to provide the password. Okay, and then we can finally test. I hope it will work this time. Otherwise, we have to go back to documents. So we are doing, I believe we are doing right here, because we have selected a connection, virtual, that's our VNet manager virtual network. Then we are using from the subscription. So subscription gave us this whole information, and we use in private endpoint here. Let me see, let me go over the document. Meanwhile, let's see if it completes fine. Otherwise we will see like if it it is needing some modification from our end. Okay, in the link service, you're going to provide the name, okay, authoring connection string, subscription, your server name, public endpoint. Okay, so username, password, fully qualified domain name. So if you see that, enter manually, so that's the same few things we have to remember. So this failed, and it is saying like, hey, I don't know what database and all that network related file, so you're gonna go here and then public, let's do this enter manually. So once we do enter manually, I don't know if it is changing or not. So actually we select this name, we select enter manually, and here we are going to provide the name of our uh, managed SQL instance. So instead of you don't need to do that part, like go from the Azure subscription. That's what I did, and it didn't pass. So you leave on the enter manually, and the database name TechbrothersIT, and now we should be SQL authentication, and then now it should be good. Let's see. Test successful and awesome. So we have created a linked service to our managed SQL instance and create. So you guys can see the whole thing. So that's where our link service is, and then we have manage uh, linked service. That's our endpoint, private point, and that's pointing to the. Man, that's a lot of links between these services. We'll go to that picture and try to understand again. But anyways, our linked service is created. You can see right there. I'm going to go ahead and create a pipeline and grab the data from our employee table and load the data to the our destination. So we can use copy activity. This is one of the video. It took me just long time even to go slow. Okay, you create a new data source, and here I'm gonna say managed SQL instance, and it's asking, hey, which linked services you want to use. So I'm gonna select that one. It's loading a table. None. This is a okay destination. Just the destination. So let me see if that is where did our. Maybe we have created the EMP in just main what you call the master database. So create db.emp. Okay, so we don't have the EMP actually here. So fine, we will recreate it. Maybe I have created the in the other database. Because once I will edit the video, I'm not gonna make a lot of changes here. Honestly, like this is a long video and I'm already tired. I will try to cut some part of that, like if it will help, like in cases I'm lost somewhere, and I will try. But also that's a debugging process, and you don't want to be like removing the parts where you are struggling, and instead of leave that so the people can see that what the mistakes they will make and how they will fix it. Okay, so this table is there now. So we are going to read from EMP table, and then we are going to write to the DST destination table. So, and we are connected to TechbrothersIT database. So let's go back here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, let me see if I can refresh. Yep, refresh. EMP table is there now, and I don't care about schema and all that. I'm going to leave this one to none and hit OK. And now you have table, and in the sync, what you're going to do, I'm going to select the same. Let me make a change actually. Same linked service, but different destination. So this is going to be like table 2 or DST table. So here is destination table. No. Okay. I'm not making any other changes, or anything. I'm going to go and debug, and it should read the data from our managed instance from the EMP table and load the data to our destination table. I don't know how long it take to be in the queue. Well, it should be fast, but it is going through a lot of loops or hops, whatever you call. So anyways, once this is done, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so it is reading from the data our source, and it need to write to this sync. So completed, finally it is completed, and now you can see that it read two records and have written two records. Now this is all good. We are going to go back to our query here, and I'm going to select from the DST. Okay, so that's where it is done. Now we are going to go ahead and run it, and you can see that there are two records in this table. The same two records are in the employee table, but those are loaded to the destination table. So that's what it did. So all that hard work we did, and I had to pay for the managed instance as well. So I will suggest you guys go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you guys like my effort. But this is one of the video. I don't know how many people will watch it, but this is very lengthy and had a lot of concepts. So you need to, I will say, read over and over. So now if we wanna go over the whole scenario, so we understand there is the ADF, Azure Data Factory, that had that has IR, and that is, if you guys go back, that's the IR you guys are gonna see right there. Okay, so this is called Azure with IR, and here we have virtual network configuration enabled for that one. Good. Now this is passing some information, so it need a private point, right? So see the private endpoint. So we have the private endpoint created here. So now if you guys go to manage private points endpoints, that's the one we have created, and then we have approved in the Azure um, private link service. So we approved, remember that? So we did that, and that's why we are seeing it is there and it is able to communicate. Now what happened once this IR is sending data or receiving data, whatever, it is going to use that private endpoint, and if it will be just blob or Azure SQL, we don't have to go through this whole right side of it. So we can simply create a endpoint. It's very easy to create a end private endpoint for Azure SQL database or blob. I will do that in a video and show you. But as we have to read the data from managed instance, so we have to create the private link service, and you guys know that how to do that. So we have right here, that's what I was showing you. So we have created my private link service, and then that's where we put the request and approve it, right? Now once it get there, it's going to go to the load balancer. Okay, so we have the load balancer right there. If you guys see, here is our load balancer, and the load balancer is right there, yeah, right? So this is our load balancer. You have all the IP information and everything, and we have created the front and back and health probe, and we have created everything in the load balancer, how to make this load balancer to work. Then what we did, we have this it goes to the our virtual VM machine. That's where we have created the rule, if you guys remember that, and that we use the shell scripting, and the file was there, so I just copied that, provided my SQL managed instance name, and it created that IP route table. It created an entry there. Now and then finally it get to the managed instance. So if you remember that in the private endpoints, when we were creating in the Azure Data Factory, if you guys remember, there was two things we provided. One of the information was we provided was our manage instant name, and second part was the net address, the net IP. So we did that. So you guys know that how to get that information and put it there. So I believe if you will follow all these steps, so you will be fine. I'm gonna put this link in the description as well, and good luck by using manage instance with private endpoints in Azure Data Factory, go ahead and subscribe my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.